It is the Cares For Kids Radiothon, the 24th annual Cares For Kids Radiothon on Y94, the number one hit music station. Your donations at 701-478-KIDS 5437 are what make these miracles happen. And we're entering a triple match for the next little while here. Shields and Jordahl Custom Homes going to triple match your donations when you call 478-KIDS 5437 or you text KIDS on the Cares For Kids line. Kids, 35270. Now, over the past couple of days, today, yesterday, we've been playing back these stories of things that are unfolding now at Sanford Children's Hospital, but stories that have really built the foundation of this radiothon over the past 24 years. Those kids from the early years, those stories still so powerful, and raising money for today's stories unfolding. Now, here at Y94, we tell those stories, and he would never take credit for it, but there's somebody that really did help lay the foundation for this radiothon and what we do on these 2 days and telling these stories. So in honor of just kind of paying homage to the legacy of this radiothon, I had to go ahead and harass him on his cell phone. Ladies and gentlemen, part of the Y94 family for 17 years. On the phone, we got Rad, everybody. How are you?
I'm back again.
We can't get rid of you. Is what we can't do. Now, Rat, you are somebody that people never really saw the work, right? They just knew the end result of it. I mean, I can't tell you how many hours I saw you working tirelessly in the studio and putting together these stories. You are somebody that put a lot of heart and soul into this radiothon. I mean, what did this event mean to you, man?
And it was the behind the scenes of the radiothon that was just so amazing to get to individually meet these families and hear these stories. And, we'd love to just share the entire story, but in radio, we kind of got to shorten things up. So it was our job to spend time with the families, get the story, and then we had to kind of trim it down a little bit and make it a little bit more friendly for, length as far as that goes, and try to keep as much of that story there as we could. And just getting to hear these stories and, what they had gone through, and then you felt like you were a part of it, and you meet these individuals. And that's what's so fascinating to me about the radiothon is, that was one of the hardest parts of leaving Y94 because, just all those families that we had worked with for the years. And the thing that amazes me to this day, I can't tell you how many families I still run into, even up here in Langdon, that were connected to the radiothon. And we were actually in Valley Edinburgh schools a couple of months back honoring a Teacher of the Month. And one of the class members was there, and I had met the family so many years ago. And here I was in the classroom having pizza with this kid and just seeing, you'd never know, seeing him now, but seeing that story and hearing that story. And it just means so much to them. So it's so great to just see these families again and then remember that, life goes on for everybody, but this continues to be such an important part of their family that helped bring them together.
Well, and I can't even imagine what that felt like. I mean, having, bumping into somebody so far removed from Fargo and being like, wow, you were part of this and I was part of this, and to have that connection that had to just be so surreal for you, so surreal.
Well, and it's funny because, Hillary, who we work with, is always so great. And it's funny because I just sent her a picture of the two of us in the classroom, and she immediately was able to identify the family. And it just shows you that, all of these people who are involved behind the scenes, it's more than just storytelling. It's, actually sharing this story and talking about what happens in this hospital and, really the miracles that it brings. And the goal is obviously normalcy, which some of these families, they get to experience. But even as life goes on, they still remember what happened in that hospital and how important it was to not just the child, but the whole family all together.
There is something about, hearing these stories on the radio that I think sometimes a person's still able to be like, well, yes, you keep saying Fargo, you keep saying Moorhead, you keep saying the surrounding area, but it's in my speaker and it's going to stay in my speaker. And you truly don't appreciate that it can happen to anybody. I mean, you are a dad yourself. Your kids were born in that hospital. You've received services in that hospital. What was it like having done the radiothon for so many years and then to have kids born in that hospital and get services at that hospital?
I think when my daughter Elin was born, that was kind of that moment where she had to get taken out of the room, and you're still there with your wife, And I, at that point, kind of imagine the apprehension that other families have when you've got a baby that's leaving the room and you're still there and you're kind of going, what's happening? Whereas through all the experiences that I've had, there was an ease there, understanding that NICU team was taking her. They were going to take amazing care of her, and it wasn't nearly as stressful as you'd expect. And trust me, they all will remind you, as we say on the Radiothon many, many times, you never know if it's going to happen to you. And they were like, yeah, you said it. You now you understand it. And I really, truly did. And I think that's the thing that I love about this. You know, it's been challenging times lately. We've all been dealing with inflation and everything else. But we still have that thing in our hearts where we want to help people. And there's so many causes and needs. And to have something like this that is here in our community, that you know your dollars are going to help local families, that's where you kind of go, okay, I can feel and see the impact right here in my community. And that's where the dollars are so important, because there's a lot of great charities out there, don't get me wrong, but knowing that you're helping individual families right here in the area, I feel like that shows you how important your dollars truly are.
Now, for being somebody that had been in the Fargo area for so long, been on Y94, been doing the Cares for Kids Radiothon, had said time and time again, well, you know, it's the Regions Hospital, it's the Regions Hospital. And now yourself having a family that lives in western North Dakota out there in the Langdon area, what is it like now being part of that outer region and still hearing people saying like, well, I traveled here and, you know, yep, we're going to have to go to Fargo for medical care. Is that weird to be on the other side of it now?
You know, I always thought that because no matter what, the travel is always going to be a troublesome part for individuals. But even hearing from these families, the difference is, would you rather be traveling to somewhere like Fargo, or would you be out in Minneapolis or even further? You know, to have a hospital like that that's at least still close and available to you, there's a certain level of comfort there, because to travel that much farther, and then in a lot of cases, you still have lives, you still have jobs, you still have, so it's not just one travel trip, it's going back and forth. And, you know, to have those services available here, at least within a proximity, there is a certain level of comfort knowing that it's there, and you're not going, well, okay, now we got to figure out how do we get to Minneapolis and back and forth, and who's going to stay, and, you know, all of that sort of thing. And really the thing that we try to talk about so much too is that staff that is up there and these people that work with these families and children, and, you know, those individuals, and just having them in our community is so important. And all the different groups that are funded through the Cares for Kids Radiothon, you know, it's not just the hospital services, it's also the individuals that are in our community because of a program like this.
Well, as, you know, really one of the founding fathers of the event, whether you'll take credit for it or not, just the way that it's done, the way it's executed, and the way we try to carry on, as that person, what would you say is the importance of the Cares for Kids Radiothon? Why is this event important to that hospital?
I think the key for this is it's always and has always been about these families, about these kids, and, you know, what they're experiencing, what they're going through. We all generally have a life where we're not involved in the hospital. We, you know, you can see it, but there are so many stories that are happening every single day. And to know that that's happening is something where, you know, you got to be reminded. You got to hear some of these stories, and then you hear these stories and you're like, wow, but then you realize every day there is a new family walking into those doors, and they are going to be going through what will be a nightmare experience. But to know that there's a staff, to know that there are doctors that are there for them, that are providing for all of these individuals, that's kind of the key. And it's always ensuring that not only keeping that going, but trying to expand upon it, trying to bring these individuals and grow the program and make sure that more kids are able to be taken care of here within our community. And that's really what it's about. It's about listening to these stories, understanding these stories. And we all say, you know, we hope that it's never going to be a situation that you find yourself in, but they can provide a little comfort knowing that this is a situation that they can handle. And a lot of this is there because of people who have been making these miracles happen throughout the years.
Well, a triple match opportunity right now when you call 701-478-KIDS. That's 5437 with Shields and Jordahl Custom Homes. And, Rat, we miss you around here, but especially this time of year, brother. We appreciate you taking some time today, man.
Oh, I'm always thinking and listening in this time of year.
Cares for Kids Radiothon, Y94.
Thanks for listening to the Cares for Kids Radiothon
on Y94. Cares for Kids. To make a 20 by 12 donation, call 478-KIDS. That's 478-5437. Or toll for free at 1-877-478-KIDS on the 702 Cares for Kids line. We need your help. Call now.
To see more pictures and videos, check out Y94.com.